Have you ever wondered how people in the medieval ages dealt with their sanitation needs? Picture a time when modern conveniences were non-existent. We're talking about the Dark Ages, a period in history where the simple act of waste disposal was a far cry from our current systems. Back then, there were no intricate sewage systems or efficient garbage disposal mechanisms. Instead, the streets and rivers often doubled as dumping grounds. It wasn't uncommon to see waste of all kinds, from food scraps to human excrement, casually tossed out of windows or dumped into the nearest water body. This lack of sanitation, as you can imagine, had dire consequences. The contamination of drinking water sources and the accumulation of waste in public spaces gave rise to rampant diseases. Epidemics were a common occurrence, with hygiene-related illnesses claiming countless lives. But amidst this chaos, there were some attempts at managing waste. Enter the guardrobes and cesspits. The former was essentially a room with a hole in the floor leading directly outside or into a pit. They were the medieval equivalent of a toilet, often found in castles or wealthy households. The latter, cesspits, were large holes dug into the ground where waste materials were collected. Yet these were far from perfect solutions. Guardrobes were a luxury few could afford, and even those who could had to deal with the stench and the risk of the waste attracting vermin. Cesspits, on the other hand, were prone to overflowing, especially during heavy rains, leading to further contamination of the surroundings. So, as we sit in the comfort of our modern homes with our advanced sanitation systems, let's take a moment to appreciate the journey we've made. From the dark ages of sanitation, where waste disposal was as simple and as hazardous as tossing it out your window. Imagine living in a time when waste disposal was as simple as tossing it out your window. As the church gained influence, so did the importance of cleanliness. Now let's take a stroll through this epoch and uncover how the church's teachings on cleanliness led to a shift in sanitation habits in medieval society. During the Middle Ages, the church played a pivotal role in shaping societal norms and values. Among these was the concept of purity, both spiritual and physical. The church equated cleanliness with godliness, a notion that gradually permeated through society and led to a change in sanitation habits. People started to understand that maintaining personal hygiene was not just a matter of aesthetics, but a reflection of their moral standing. This shift in mindset was not just confined to personal hygiene, it extended to communal sanitation as well. The church's emphasis on cleanliness led to the construction of public bathhouses. These were not just places for bathing, but social hubs where people gathered to gossip, negotiate deals, and even celebrate special occasions. They were a testament to the church's influence and the growing awareness about the importance of cleanliness. But the church's influence did not stop at bathhouses. It also spearheaded the implementation of waste disposal laws. The church advocated for the proper disposal of waste, urging people to avoid throwing garbage and sewage onto the streets. This was a significant departure from earlier practices, and it marked a crucial step towards improved sanitation. The church also encouraged the creation of public latrines and cesspits. These initiatives, though they might seem rudimentary to us now, were revolutionary at the time. They not only helped maintain cleanliness, but also played a role in controlling the spread of diseases. So, in a time often characterized by filth and disease, the church served as a beacon of cleanliness. It used its influence to promote hygiene and sanitation, sparking a change that would have far-reaching effects. The church's teachings on cleanliness were not just about maintaining physical purity, but were also a way of instilling moral values and fostering a sense of community responsibility. Even in the midst of darkness, the church sparked a small flame of sanitation enlightenment. Its influence laid the groundwork for the sanitation practices we see today, and played a vital role in the evolution of public health. The Black Death, a devastating pandemic that swept through Europe, brought about drastic changes in sanitation. Originating in the mid-14th century, this horrifying plague claimed the lives of millions, wiping out nearly one-third of Europe's population. The catastrophic scale of this tragedy forced societies to re-evaluate their understanding of health and cleanliness. In the wake of such devastation, it was clear that the existing sanitation practices were woefully inadequate. Streets littered with waste, tightly packed living conditions, and a lack of clean water were all breeding grounds for disease. The Black Death served as a stark reminder of the deadly consequences of poor sanitation. This realization led to a paradigm shift in the way people thought about cleanliness and health. They began to understand the connection between filth and disease and saw the need for improved sanitation measures. This was the beginning of a new era in sanitation, marked by the establishment of sanitation laws and the creation of waste removal systems. For instance, in many towns and cities across Europe, laws were enacted to regulate waste disposal. Residents were no longer allowed to simply throw their waste into the streets. Instead, they were required to dispose of it in designated areas or have it collected by waste removal services. This was a significant step forward, as it helped to keep the streets cleaner and reduce the spread of disease. In addition to these laws, efforts were made to improve the supply of clean water. Wells were dug deeper to avoid contamination, and in some places, rudimentary water treatment methods were introduced. These changes not only improved the overall cleanliness of towns and cities, but also played a crucial role in preventing the spread of diseases. In a twisted way, the Black Death served as a catalyst for progress. It forced societies to confront the harsh realities of their sanitation practices and spurred them into action. The changes that followed not only helped to mitigate the impact of the plague, but also laid the foundation for modern sanitation systems. The Black Death, while devastating, was a turning point in the history of sanitation. The Renaissance, a period of great cultural, artistic, and intellectual awakening, also brought about significant advancements in sanitation. As the dark clouds of ignorance that had shrouded the Middle Ages began to lift, so did the grimy veil that had covered sanitation practices for centuries. One of the most revolutionary developments of this era was the invention of the flush toilet. A contraption as fascinating as it was functional, the flush toilet was a game-changer in the world of sanitation. It was Sir John Harington, a godson of Queen Elizabeth I, who first introduced this novel concept. His design, a rudimentary version of the modern-day loo, included a water tank, a bowl, and a mechanism to flush away waste. It was a leap from the primitive chamber pots and cesspits, providing a more hygienic and convenient alternative. Parallel to this was the construction of sewer systems. The Renaissance architects and engineers, recognizing the importance of proper waste disposal, began to construct more sophisticated and efficient sewer systems. These systems were designed to carry waste away from populated areas, significantly reducing the risk of disease transmission. There was also a shift in the way people bathed during the Renaissance. The public bathhouses that had been a common sight in the Middle Ages began to lose their popularity. Instead, the trend moved towards private bathing facilities. This shift was not just a matter of convenience or privacy, but also a crucial step in improving public health. The communal bathhouses had been breeding grounds for diseases, and their decline marked a significant reduction in the spread of illnesses. The Renaissance, with its spirit of inquiry and innovation, was instrumental in transforming sanitation practices. It was a time when humanity broke free from the shackles of age-old customs and superstitions, embracing reason and science instead. The advancements in sanitation during this period were not just about convenience or aesthetics, but about improving public health and quality of life. The Renaissance marked the beginning of a new era for sanitation, setting the stage for the modern systems we have today. From the Dark Ages to the dawn of the Renaissance, sanitation has undergone a remarkable transformation. As we look back, we see a timeline marked by both trial and triumph. In the early medieval period, sanitation was a foreign concept, with waste often dumped directly onto the streets or into rivers. The lack of organized waste disposal systems and proper hygiene practices resulted in an environment conducive to disease and infection, a stark contrast to our modern understanding of cleanliness. Enter the church, wielding notable influence over societal norms and behaviors. Despite their spiritual focus, they were not oblivious to the physical realities of their environment. They made attempts to improve sanitation, endorsing bathing and cleanliness as a means to purity, both physical and spiritual. Yet, even with the church's efforts, the state of sanitation remained far from ideal. Then came the Black Death, a pandemic that shook the world to its core. This catastrophic event highlighted the dire consequences of poor sanitation, leading to a seismic shift in the way societies viewed cleanliness. People began to understand the vital role of sanitation in disease prevention, paving the way for significant advancements. As we transition into the Renaissance, a period of rebirth and enlightenment, we see sanitation starting to take a more recognizable form. Innovations like the creation of sewage systems and the advent of personal hygiene practices became more widespread. This period marked the beginning of a more scientific approach to sanitation, with an emphasis on preventing disease and promoting public health. From these humble and often chaotic beginnings, we see the foundations of our modern sanitation systems taking shape. The journey from the Middle Ages to the Renaissance was a tumultuous one, fraught with disease and death, but also marked by progress and understanding. So, the next time you flush your toilet, remember the long and fascinating journey of sanitation from the medieval ages to the present day.